Real quickly, the kids that turn these in. Does anybody know who this is? This belongs to. Does this look familiar? I don't have a name. Is this Tim's or John's? Jordan, this is yours. Oh, this is yours, the ripped one? All right, come up here, get your candy bar. Appreciate you filling that out for me. All right, here's your candy bar. Next, Jaslyn. All right, Jaslyn did hers as well. Come on up here and get your candy bar. And if you guys want these back, I can give them back to you after a bit, but I'm going to hold on to them for now. And let's see here. Jonathan. Jonathan, come on up here and get your candy bar. All right. Yeah, you say chocolate, man. He's raring to go. I think he's been hanging around Uncle Josh too long. All right. Or Daddy. I like my chocolate. I like my chocolate. All right. Esther. Come on up here, Esther. Whoops, sorry. Knocking over the mic there. All right. Good job. Let's see. Who's next? Some of these. All right. Timothy. Timothy, come on up, buddy. Get yours. There you go. Hurry up. All right. Or you want to give it to me? Is it mine? All right. All right. There you go. All right, and I only have one candy bar left. Wait, hang on. Let's see here. What else do I have? Oh, you know what? I am going to need to take one of those back. Esther's, let me get yours back. All right, here, real quick. All right. Where's that one from? Oh, no. It's okay. I'll get my kids later. That's fine. All right, Miss Evelyn. Miss Evelyn, come on up here. All right. All right, thank you, Miss Evelyn. And let's see here. Was this yours, Naomi? All right, Naomi. Oh, I guess I'm stealing from one sister to give to the other, huh? All right, hang on. You can have yours back, Esther. There you go. All right, and Naomi, I'll get you yours later. So I owe two people candy bars. And Miss Abigail, you did yours, right? So I owe Miss Abigail a candy bar. And Aaliyah, Rihanna, and them just got theirs today. So they're going to finish them and bring them back Wednesday. All right, so 2 candy bars. Now, the overall winner. I let Brother and Mrs. Norton be the judges, and they said it was difficult, wasn't it? They said it was very difficult. They looked through them. I saw Brother Norton looking through them meticulously over there, trying to figure out which one was done the best. And the overall winner, with a special prize that, just like the 2 candy bars I just mentioned, is not here right now, but they will get as soon as I get a chance, all right, is Miss Abigail. All right, let's hear it from Miss Abigail. All right. So that was the correct one, right? Okay, Miss Abigail got the overall winner. And if you did just get yours today, there were some special circumstances. Some people didn't get theirs till this morning for a certain reason. Go ahead and finish those and bring them back Wednesday night, and I will have more candy bars then. All right, real quickly, just a short thought that I want, or challenge I want to leave with you. Exodus 38:8. Here we are told in the book of Exodus, in this specific chapter, about the making or the creating of the tabernacle and the things to go in the tabernacle. In Exodus chapter number 37, we're told about the ark, the mercy seat with the cherubims, the table, the candlestick, the altar of incense, all of these things. And then here in Exodus chapter number 38, the Lord gives Moses instructions concerning the altar for the burnt offerings. And it says here that he goes in verse number 8 to talk about the laver of brass. In verse number 8 it says, "And he made the laver of brass and the foot of it of brass of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation." Now you may remember I said a couple of weeks ago, I believe it was, that right now as we're reading through the Old Testament, we're following that Old Testament Bible reading schedule, there are some places in the Old Testament that we'll read that you might consider a little monotonous. You get into lineages, and that can be a little bit monotonous. Maybe some of you, when you got to this portion of the book of Exodus, with all of the things that were written about how the tabernacle was going to be built and how all of the furniture was going to be built for the tabernacle, maybe it got a little bit monotonous to you. And even some of you might have had this thought go across your minds. Why? Why did God put this in the Bible? What's the significance? Well, obviously, we're not going to cover the significance of the entire tabernacle or every piece of furniture that was in the tabernacle. But I do want you to see from verse number 8 something that I believe is a nugget of truth that God sort of nestled in there for us to take and apply to our lives today. You notice how it says the very first thing that we're told about this laver is Moses was given the instruction to make the laver of brass. And it says the foot of the laver of brass. And then if you look right after that, look at what it says. of the looking glasses of the women assembling, which assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Here are some women mentioned, and what we're told about them is that they assembled at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. These were faithful ladies. I think it's interesting that you talked about Abigail this morning, because once again we have an illustration of ladies. And I hope that the ladies of our church understand how much we appreciate them and their service. I know a lot of times we talk about the leadership of men. And by the way, we do need godly men to lead our churches and to lead our homes. It's the position that God has given to the man. But any good man will admit that he is nothing without a good wife, that he is nothing without good, godly, obedient children. And so I don't think that, and I don't believe that any of the men sitting here this morning or this afternoon are saying, yeah, I'm the alpha male, and thumping their chest and acting like Tarzan and saying, me Tarzan, you Jane. I hope that you all understand that that as a pastor, I look at you, ladies and men, and I see you as equally important. But God does give roles to the men that are not given to the women. At the same time, these ladies are written about or recorded. They're recorded here in Exodus 38:8 for a reason. They were faithful ladies. They were there at the door of the tabernacle, and they did something very unique. In verse number 8, before it tells us about them assembling at the door of the tabernacle, it says that the laver of brass and the foot that was made of brass was made of the looking glasses of the women assembling. Looking glasses, that of course is a term we don't use very often anymore. The kids in here may not understand it, but most of you adults understand it. Of course, there is the old story, Alice in Wonderland, that actually used to be called Through the Looking Glass. And so we know, adults, we know what a looking glass is. For kids that don't understand, a looking glass was a mirror. And these women who assembled at the door of the tabernacle faithfully, they were there when Moses and those that were constructing the furniture of the tabernacle had a need. They said, we've got to build this laver of brass. We've got to build the foot of the laver of brass. We need brass. And these women that were there at the door of the tabernacle said, we've got brass. We'll give our brass so you can make this laver. Where did that come from? It came from their mirrors. Now, the mirror itself obviously is made of glass or made of sand that's been transferred into what we call a mirror-like image or glass. But going around those mirrors would be brass. The edges of the mirrors and maybe the handles that they held them with in their hand would be made of brass. Maybe some of them had mirrors that were large mirrors, like maybe what some of you ladies have at home, hanging on the door in your closet or standing up in your room, a full-length mirror, and it was surrounded in brass. And they gave up of these looking glasses, they gave up of these mirrors that they had in order that Moses and those that were constructing this furniture could take the brass, the edging off of the mirrors, and they could then use that brass to make this laver. Now think about the glass itself. Probably every one of us have seen a mirror before. I know sometimes when ladies are decorating for a banquet, they'll buy those square pieces of glass and they'll put it on a table, and then they'll sprinkle things on top of it and maybe put flowers in the middle to give it a nice look. But for the most part, just pieces of glass or pieces of a mirror don't serve much purpose. I don't usually see ladies opening up their purse and pulling out a chunk of glass. They pull out a glass with a handle and an edging on it, or maybe a mirror, that's in a compact of some sort. But without that edging, without that brass on those mirrors, what purpose would these mirrors serve for these ladies? Not much, probably. When they gave these mirrors, what they were saying is, here's our mirror, even though you don't need the entire mirror, here's our mirror, you take it, you use it, and whatever you don't need, don't worry about giving it back to us because it's yours now. You have a need, Moses. You have a need for this laver. We are going to give it to you. What I wrote in my Bible is this. These women, these Israelite women, they traded vanity for verity. Verity is truth. They traded vanity, the vain things. Here were these mirrors. Did they need them? Sure they needed them. Everybody needs a mirror. Get up, comb your hair. You need to get up in the morning, see how ugly you look, so that way you can jump in the shower and see if it helps, and you get out and it still doesn't help. So you can put the cream on your face, ladies. or even guys, if you moisturize, do your hair with the gel, whatever. Everybody needs a mirror. It would be a lot tougher if we didn't have mirrors, granted. But these ladies said, you know what? We're going to trade our vanity for verity. We're going to trade our vanity, this thing that, yeah, do we need it? Yeah, we need it. But you need it more. And we're going to give it so you can use it. Hold your place here and turn over to Isaiah real quickly if you would. Isaiah chapter number 3. In Isaiah chapter number 3, the Lord is upset with the children of Israel. In Isaiah chapter number 3 and verse number 16, the Bible says, Moreover the Lord saith, Because the daughters of Zion are haughty, and walk with stretched forth necks and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet, Therefore the Lord will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and the Lord will discover their secret parts. Verse 18. In that day the Lord will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cauls, and their round tires like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers. Verse 20, the bonnets and the ornaments of the legs, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels. Verse 22, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. Verse 24, and it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle a rent, and instead of well-set hair baldness. Uh-oh. Sorry, guys. I'm joining the club. All right. Goes on to say, and instead of a stomacher, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. The Lord's upset with His people here because they have become vain, because they have become prideful, because they have become haughty. And He says, I'm going to take your pride, and I'm going to take the things that you put your pride in and that you draw your pride from. I'm going to take those things from you. I'm going to cause you to be a humble people. Look at verse number 23, one of the things that He says that He's going to take from them, the glasses. He's not talking about spectacles here. He's talking about the looking glasses. He's talking about the mirrors. I'm going to take the mirrors away from you, children of Israel. Why? They spent too much time looking at themselves. He says, I'm going to take it away so you stop focusing on you and you start looking back at me. And when you start looking back at God, children of Israel, then you're going to see what He wants you to do, and you're going to be willing to serve Him and to give Him whatever He asks of you, just like the ladies did there in Exodus chapter number 38. Turn back there with me if you would. This was what the Lord said to the children of Israel, His people, years and years after Exodus 38. With that in mind, God doesn't want to have to say that to His people. Just like a parent doesn't want to have to chide his children or her children. A parent wants to rejoice that their child is doing right. A parent doesn't want to have to rebuke their child. A parent doesn't want to have to discipline. They'd rather exhort. But when it's necessary, a parent will do what he or she must do. With all that said today, as we look at these faith promise commitments, and some may have not come in, and some may come in next week, and we look at the commitments that some of us in here have made, what we're really looking at is, I hope and pray, people that have said, here's my looking glass, Lord. Take it and use it. Take this thing that we refer to as money, this currency, take it, and normally I would use it for me. I might normally use it to go out to eat. I might normally use it to do something special for myself. Lord, take this. I'm offering this to you. Take it and use it to help other people be reached. For your work, for your service. And to you that have said that you'll do that and have made a commitment or are going to make a commitment, let me say you're just like these ladies in Exodus chapter number 38. God is happy with you. He's pleased with you this afternoon. And He does not want, as I said, to have to rebuke any of us today. So I pray that you have done as the Lord has laid on your heart. And by the way, as I said from the very beginning of the mission conference, God may not lead everybody to get involved in faith promise. I'm not going to say that God is telling you to get involved in faith promise. I don't know your heart. I don't know what God's saying to you. But I believe that if you listen to God and you follow what He says, you will never be led astray. With all this said now, I want to just close by thinking about this. And I close with this because this is more, Brother Norton, this is more of a thought, and it's my personal thought than it really is Bible. Where did these ladies get these mirrors? We don't know. The Bible doesn't say. But you remember when they left Egypt? The Bible says they spoiled Egypt. They took gold and silver from Egypt. They also took raiment and other things from Egypt. I believe that when we get to heaven, we might find out that these looking glasses, these mirrors, came from Egypt. That God provided these looking glasses to those women when they left Egypt so that they could use it later on in the work of God. In other words, God gives through the world sometimes to us so we can use it for His service. As I work a job, or you work a job, or we're out there laboring, God uses that as a means to give to us, to provide for us, so that later on we can give to His service or give to His work. And once again, I appreciate you being faithful as you have been. If you have not been involved in tithing, let me encourage you to get involved in tithing. After this Sunday, you probably won't hear me say much about tithing for a while because I think you probably heard a lot about it this past week. And same with Faith Promise Missions. I really believe that if someone doesn't tithe or they don't give to Faith Promise Missions, they're not hurting the church of God. God's church continues to go on, but they're missing out on a blessing. And I'll be honest with you, I need every blessing I can get. As my kids are growing up, and I know the devil's attacking, and I know the influence of the world is strong, I need God's hand on my family. I need God's hand on me as a parent. And I pray that each and every one of us would just continue to listen to Him. Real quickly here, we're going to go over these requests. I need a couple people that are good with math. Brother Reed, you're pretty good. If you could do the ones that I tell you are for each month, all right, I'll give you some numbers for each month as I read them off. And then, each week. You do the ones for each week, and then we're going to have to times that by 52, okay, to figure out what our goal is for the year. And then the person that I need, Miss G, do you have a piece of paper that you could do this? All right. If you do the ones for each month and then times it by 12, and then we'll add our two totals together and see what our goal is so far. So far. This is not necessarily our goal, period. All right. I'm going to start with the weekly, the weekly commitments, because these are going to be times by 52. All right, first off, $2 a week for one, $50 a week for another, and $60 a week. All right, did you get those? All right, if you can add that up and times that by 52. All right, those are all weekly amounts. All right, these are all monthly, Sister G. Sorry, Brother Reed. There was one other that was handed in to me on Thursday night. $5 a week. All right. So 2, 5, 60, and 50 a week times 52. All right, Sister G. This is a month. 50 a month. 25 a month. 35 a month. 32 a month. 35 a month. 24 a month, 20 a month, 20 a month, and 25 a month. All right, so I'm going to review those real quickly again. Actually, why don't you read them back to me?
50, 25, 35, 32, 35, 24, 20, 20, and 25.
Yes, and if you could total those up and times those by 12. Do you have your number, Brother Reed? All right. Let me put the screen up. All right. What's your total there?
6,080.
6,084? All right. Okay. And just 1 second while Sister G is looking or is doing the math on that. Don't forget Wednesday night, as I mentioned, we're going to hand out our new bulletins, our Sunday school lessons, our snacks, and toddler church schedules as well. So be here for that. And then as soon as we get done with this, we'll pray and just thank the Lord for the good week we've had. And church family, I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you. Appreciate your faithfulness. Those of you that were able to make it each night, or maybe one out of the 3 nights, just appreciate you being here. And today, once again, with the food, honestly, I always go in there and I look at the food and I'm starving, like you were talking about with David. And I always look at the food and I always think, man, there's not enough, because I can eat half of that myself. And it always seems like there's more than enough. God is always so good. And so, ladies and gentlemen that brought stuff, I appreciate it. Sister G?
3,192.
3,192. All right, so right now, our total is $9,276. All right, so for right now, our goal, unless we get other commitments in, Wednesday or next Sunday, that is our goal right now. So if you turn one of these in, you heard, many of you heard Brother McCumbee talk about this. If you turn one of these in today, then go ahead, if you would, and start giving that as soon as you're able. Now, those of you that put down once a month, you know your payment schedule, you know how often you get paid, but you start giving that next month in April, all right? And I will say this, you're going to be tempted. If this is your first time being involved in Faith Promise Missions, you're going to be tempted to give it at the end. Don't do it. Don't do it. Brother Gottschall, I remember you giving a testimony a couple years ago, and he said, preacher, and he said this to the church, he said, whenever I would try to give my tithes at the end of the month, I never had enough money left. He said, when I gave it at the beginning of the month, I always had enough money for the whole month. It was amazing. That's what you call God. That's God. And so you're going to be tempted, but don't give it at the end. Give it when you have it, and God will bless you, and He'll supply the need. All right, let's go ahead and stand and ask the Lord to bless us as we pick up and head home. If you have to go, I understand, that's fine. Those of you that can stay and help, we greatly appreciate it. Father, thank you for your goodness to us. Once again, thank you for our church family, and thank you for just their faithfulness to our church, and more importantly to you. Be with us now as we take the rest of the afternoon to rest and to get ready for this week. Father, please just bless us and help us in our commitments to you for the upcoming year. And Father,